Today's goals are to get the fuel pump and the throttle body rebuilt, maybe run the bike, iffy if that'll happen because the fuel tank's got some work. You got to figure out how to get a fuel to the pump without the tank, which I don't think is going to work well, but we might be able to start it a little bit. I have the battery charging. I'll work on how plausible that is, but actually I already got the fuel pump done. Let me switch over here real quick. Oops. So we did the fuel pump and put all new hoses on the thing, new clamps, cleaned it up, and it's pretty much ready to go. Still got a little bit of crap on there from the seal that guy put on. That guy being I don't know who, someone working on it decided that a duct tape and electrical tape seal was appropriate. So we replaced that out, and we're going to, we'll reinstall this here in a minute. I also replaced the fuel filter. That's part of a service pack. So that's a fresh fuel filter. We'll see how this puppy runs. Next thing to do is to reinstall the fittings on the bottom of the throttle body here. So this will be a little bit more of a challenge. Gotta make sure it all goes back on together. So I'm gonna review what I got to do to get this right. You can see the one is still a little bit chewed up, so I'm going to have to clean that tube out too. So this will be good. Okay, it's all pretty well blown out. Used the air compressor and a brush to clean it out. Got some of the polish off that I had been polishing some of the parts. You can see it's way cleaner than it was. Let's get this thing put together. Okay, so we have the throttle body here. It's going to sit on the bike like this, or more like that. Front of the bike goes that way, and I got to re-add these little fittings. These are the ones that, one of these is what got damaged real easy when I took the bike apart. I actually had to buy a whole new throttle body to get just a couple of these as spares. So I have two. I was thinking about replacing the O-rings, but they're still healthy enough, and if need be, we'll take it out and put another one in, and then barring that, I have a backup. The way these go in is there's a little O-ring there with a little fitting there and one of these pin clips. So it goes in the hole, and then one of these spring clips or Selloc clips will go through the hole like that and hold it in, which was it took me a little while to figure out how this all went together. So finally, we got it back in. There they are, in good shape, and I'm sure I looked a little ridiculous there, but I just could not get those fittings in. I had my son come out and help me. That's the lengthy pause was, but put a little oil on them and they slipped right in. So, ta-da! Next step is take this all back apart. It's all just kind of soft fitted right now so that I was out of the way, and we'll stick that fuel injector back in there, or the throttle body back in there. Fuel injector, well, you know, fuel injector's part of it. Those little fittings there. Ooh, look at that 3D. And then then we'll see where we're going. Like I said, the fuel tank is in rough condition, so I don't know how far we're going to get tonight. I'm also waiting on the battery. I got it trickle charging right now. It would be kind of cool if it started tonight, but one of my concerns is I do want to see about maybe poking into the heads, so I may need to do a little bit of reading, opening up a compartment on the heads, squirting some oil in there. I mean, this is the head right here. Shoot, while I'm here, just move that. That's not going to stay because that's aluminum. I love these magnet things, but you do have to be cautious with them. Let's see. I'm sure some of you Ducati nerds are freaking out on my treatment of these parts, but they're old. They're going to get freshened up anyway. I think this is the inspection plate. And I think there's one in here. And we're just going to get in there, crack it open, and spray a little oil probably. Because I am not confident that there's oil in there still. This thing's been sitting for so long. If it's not, don't worry, I'm going to check. I do have the maintenance manual. So we're going to review the maintenance manual, take a look at the head inspection, you know, the valve train, the Desmo inspection guides, which I think are those plates. We're going to get in there. I'm going to just splash some oil around before I start anything. But first, we need to get all this, you know, rebuilt. Oh, and fill up. You can see the reservoir is empty. You may be able to see that. Just kind of sitting in here. So, yeah, got some work. Just giving a quick look-see. It looks like we're on okay. It's doing okay. A little bit of wear on the sides there. I don't know. Kind of hard to tell what we got. But I was a little worried we were going to see shards. And there's no shards. Just some wear on the cams. That might be bad. There's one of the big concerns is flaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some oil in here. There's some oil sitting at the bottom. That's good. So it's not completely dry, but you know, some of this stuff is not as juicy as I'd like. So see if I can dig up our old oil can, and yeah, there's some oil on the bearings in there. I can't see anything because my flashlight's in the way. But, yeah, doing okay. I mean, it's to be expected, right? Kind of cool. It's my first time poking my head into the valve train of this thing, and it's as different as, you know, as to be expected. It's got that wonderful Ducati, Ducati-ness, the Desmo gears. A little concerned about that wear pattern, but you know, one piece at a time. I'm gonna get some oil in there, like I keep repeating myself. Once I got that lubed, we'll turn it over and just see if it purrs. Handy dandy oil can. Had to stop for dinner and everything, and a couple snags. I got a good look at the fuel tank, and it's in worse condition than I thought. But I'm gonna put the put some coolant in, and Got a couple little things. I'll probably put the throttle body back in tonight, but we're not going to get done nearly what I was hoping for. So we had a bunch of snags. I had to stop for dinner, and we're not nearly close to what I thought we would do today. Well, I don't know. We're kind of... I was having this weird moment today where I was thinking, like, oh man, maybe I could... maybe there's a lot less than I need to than I'm thinking. I'm starting to get optimistic, and it's still got some work. I think the fuel tank is going to have to get treated and put together before anything happens, which I was hoping wouldn't be the case, because I really like to fix a problem, make sure it's running, fix a problem, make sure it's running, and move in incremental steps. And the problem is I don't have a running bike. There's too many problems. So I don't know. Right now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put coolant in it and just identify if we have any bad leaks there. Knock on wood. For some reason, the reservoir was bone dry, but I don't know how much is in there. I'm going to flush the coolant system out, but I would just want to at least get some in and see if it will hold what's in there. So it's something that needs to be done. What else tonight? Maybe install the throttle body. That's probably about it. If I was a little dishonest, right now I would have edited this video series to not show my mistakes. But that canister filled up and was not nearly as transparent. It was too much. I had it like, oops, I had it like this, and I couldn't really see that little corner, and it's full. So the other thing was the funnel made a nice clean seal with the filler cap, and I filled the funnel up and just spilled. So I'm pretty sure all of that fluid on the ground is from my spill and not from drippage, but it'll just have to air out and evaporate, and then we'll know better. But I think we're good. So that's so stupid of me. So yeah, I'm not always the brightest, but there it is. You can see some of it's a bit wet. Cleaned it up. Luckily, nothing got ingested. I had it covered, so oh well. So we're running out of time here, but so it's kind of getting late, but I had a productive day. What I'm going to try to do before the end of the night is at least get these fittings fixed, the fittings, the fuel line that goes from the fuel tank to the throttle body. So it's the primary fuel line. Camera's focusing there. So kind of running out of time today. One of the frustrations is I just lost some fittings that or some hose clamps that I had, and the problem is, you probably noticed the garage that I work in is pretty messy. My living situation is that we rent from my parents, which is a really good deal. We live in Southern California, and you can't find adjust my camera there. You can't find housing for normal human can't afford like housing out here. It's really bad. So, all right, adjusting. So yeah, so like I said, normal human can't find housing out here very affordably. It's a real hassle. So what I'm going to pause. Yeah, so the problem is a lot of people live in this house. Like I said, you know, there's 4 adults who live here, and so we don't have a lot of space. Though, you know, economically we can. It means that we can afford a house, and I can afford to do things occasionally, like buy a very inexpensive old motorcycle and put it together. But it has its disadvantages, and you know, there's not a lot of space in the garage. You've probably seen there's not a lot of workspace. There's a lot of steam. There's a lot of like crud in the air. So, what I'm having to do right now is clean off the hose clamps that came off of some fittings, and I have to do it because you know, I just bought hose clamps. I just bought a whole package of new ones, and I can't find them. There's no room in the garage. Every time when I'm working on this project, every time I start, I have to spend about 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes of the project every time are reestablishing where I was. So I have to, when I'm done tonight, I will pack the bike up. I will put most of the big components back on. The airbox will go on. The tail section will probably go on. The fuel tank will maybe go and sit back on the bike. And all of that so that it's not in the way and it doesn't get tripped over and doesn't get scratched. You know, I'm not complaining. You know, I could eat ramen and have a house, but that just is what it is. So I don't have like a dedicated workbench, and so parts get lost. And you know, tonight parts got lost. I literally just bought a pack, and anyway, so what I'm going to try to do tonight. I keep bouncing around, but what I'll do is finish these fuel lines and fit them through to the throttle body. Kind of my goal at this point is to get the throttle body fitted and get all that put back together. The fuel tank is in such bad shape, I'm gonna have to run I can't remember the stuff's called. It's like P52 or Codswell. I think there's a couple different companies, you know, that can you pour some abrasive stuff in, and it cleans the tank, and then you put some epoxy in there, and it puts a lining on the tank. So we're gonna have to do that because the tank's just in crap condition. I really hate bouncing from project to project, but every time there's often I finding like, oh, I need a little bit of whatever, I need hoses, and then it stumps me, and I really don't like having like fuel pump going on over here and throttle body and fuel lines and all these things. They're all kind of related, but they're not. This is very much against my normal work ethic, where I like to have things laid out. I like to have a table and have the project laid out on the table and leave it, you know, when I come back to it, everything's in the same spot. And I like to work on one thing at a time and fix that one thing. And, you know, so if the machine's running, take the part off and put the other part on. And then if that doesn't work, you know what you took off is what caused it not to work. So now you're not chasing 5 different things. But here, the bike's in such rough condition, I'm going to have to basically go through and kind of do 4 or 5 different things at a time to get it working. And that just sucks, but it is what it is. And again, one of those, I kind of knew it was going to be like this when I went into this project, because how else could it be? Yeah, so just sitting here cleaning, getting these lines fixed. I think these hose clamps will be good enough. I mean, they're hose clamps, right? And I'm not going to take the bike to the racetrack. So, yeah. Well, all right. I'll turn the camera off. Okay, these clamps are done, and now it's time to turn this into these. So, just a little recap. When I took these off the bike, this is one of the main problems that was actually advertised with the bike, which you think would be like, oh, no big deal, right? But this led into 6 other things. So what I have done is I pulled this hose off because I wanted to replace the whole line. Oh, this is another part of it. This is the reason the whole hose had to come up. Yeah, so Mr. Duct Tape strikes again. I'm beginning to wonder how much of this bike is held together by duct tape. But anyway, this is just a fuel line. I removed it, and in the process of pulling its buddy off, which also has been taped, this is amazing, that fitting came off, so we kind of back to where we were. So I'm replacing these lines because obviously they're bad, and I'm going to replace these fittings. These are quick disconnects, so these actually go into the tank with a replacement kit I bought from Gotham Cycles with the metal fittings. So these will go in here, and this end will be fitted to the throttle body. So I'm just gonna, I already kind of measured it out. I know that the hose is the same diameter internally. We'll take a look. I want to get it about the same. And we got our handy dandy blade, razor blade. It's an old table, so I'm not so worried about it. I do want it straight. Wouldn't this be funny if this would, you guys get a film for the world, me cutting my finger off right now, but I'm just gonna cut through the rubber hose. Of course, it's fuel line, not just rubber hose. I didn't just buy any old hose. It's treated so it can handle petroleum products, specially labeled. All right, so there's one. I'll go with that. And two, which I believe is a little shorter. Just line it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just close. And cut through it. Well, at least I got something done tonight. I mean, there was progress. That cut sucked. I just made that worse. Now it's going to be shorter. Dang it. Wish I had the tools that AutoZone did. They had a nice hose cutter. That's a little bit more even. Let's screw the pooch on that one. Oh well. Anyway, let's see. So we got, this is junk. Set on the floor, clean that up in a minute. So we got two lines, and I'm gonna pause. All right, so I gotta pause and I had to go pick up the battery that I have charging, so oops. Well, not oops, but yeah, that's the reason for the break here. So we're back, and I'm just going to set the old hoses aside. The threads on this one just does not want to go in all the way. It's in there pretty tight. I don't think it's going anywhere one way or another. This other one, I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on it so that it goes on just a little easier. So that other one was very tight. There we go. Just a patina of oil. This one's pretty tight too, but it's at least going on all the way. There we go. That one's flush. Nice. Okay. Put the clamps on. Whoop. Gotta forgive my little sound effects. I got kids, so. So yeah, things will get sound effects. You guys will just have to bear with me. Sorry. I promise I won't make ratcheting noises as I do this here. And I'm going to set us on quick speed. Hey, there we go. All back together again. I'd hesitate to call it a rebuilt throttle body, but I mean, it's better than it was. We got fuel disconnects or quick disconnects ready, and the throttle body is better than it was when I got it, so that's a victory. Now I'm gonna put it back on the bike, I guess. Okay, so next step is reinstall the throttle body, put it back in here, and it's still pretty dirty in there. I really want to go back and get this all cleaned up. Throw some degreaser in there, close it up. So this is going to come back out eventually, but I want to get it to a point where I can start it, run it, identify other major issues before I get too much further into this. But yeah, it definitely needs some cleaning in here, and I'm finding plastic pieces that are broken and in not good shape. But we'll go ahead and reinstall it. So yeah, all right. Just put these lines out. I don't remember exactly how they were led before, but I think they need to go up and underneath the airbox. Actually, I think they need to be routed around the outside of the frame here. Just push this in. Rubber gaskets. Intake baffles there. Top one on it easy. Let's try one bottom. There we go. Didn't want to yank on it too hard. Okay, what else is here? Well, got those clamps. It's like a flathead. Grab the flathead. Make sure that's fully seated. Top of my priority is to get a small metric ratchet set, because this also has a bolt head and a flathead, so it could have gone either way there. It would have been easier the other way. Alright, this one's a pain in the ass. Go through this side, I think. So far, this has been my preferred side to work on. It's always kind of been that way with most of my bikes, but because they will lean towards this. So if I put any pressure on the bike, even though you lean forward, you could push the bike over, but you feel that weight, and that, of course, the bike's tilted towards you. But this one is so damn upright. I'm actually kind of worried about how upright it is. It's one of the reasons I'm considering getting one of those moto dollies, because I can strap it down. I'm always worried about the kids, you know? Like, if this bike ever fell on one of my kids, that would be about the worst thing in the world. I would never want to own another motorcycle again if one of my kids got hurt at all. That's pretty good. Alright, that's set. This through here. I don't remember exactly how it fed through. I think we're right side. I think we're underneath all this stuff. I have to go back and review photos. But it's not going to be holding fuel tonight. I'll definitely check it before anything else happens. Of course, actually, it really needs to come up through here. We'll figure that out once the airbox goes back on. Attach the throttle cable now. Should have done that when it was out. It's a fitting screw. Shit. Yeah, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. Damn. Oh man. Might have to remove this all. I think I can get it. I just. Not like you guys can see anything anyway, right? There we go. Ah! Had it. Lost it. Oh, it's pushing through, that's why. Go. Oh. Just put. There we go. That was a pain in the ass. Hands are too greasy. About where it was. That's another thing I'll have to get readjusted. Pressure down. As I have out with me. 10 for good measure. I bet it's the 10. I don't remember what I used. Yeah, it's the 10. It's never a 9, is it? It's only a 9 when you don't grab the 9. Sticky cable. No, the cable slipped. Well, ain't that always the way? Well, this isn't gonna go smooth, so make less. We did it. So it's all back together, more or less. And we did it. Wow, I feel really accomplished. So it's all back together. Those fuel fittings are installed. I think I got it threaded the right way. Everything's ready to receive the tank again once the tank isn't a disaster. I got the airbox more or less installed. You see it's not going to be bolted in yet because it's got to come out. There's all these little tabs that broke on it and everything. That obnoxious white bit is a tire hugger, but I'm just leaving it sit where it will be. So what else can we do tonight? Man, still got a little bit of time. But yeah, boy, I feel accomplished and happy. We'll see if it's gonna leak everywhere. I'm kind of wondering if I should not pull it all apart when I do the test. I'm probably gonna end up testing with the tank off and being able to see to make sure that the lines hold their pressure. But just being able to reassemble it and see that it goes back together the way it should, that's freaking sweet, man. Alright, so it's getting close to about 8 and I still got to clean up. So I'm going to do a wrap up and just kind of close out this log because it's a pretty successful day. I got to spend most of the afternoon. It was a Sunday today, and so I do attend church. Geez, a lock of hair. There we go. So I didn't have all day, but I had everything after about noon. So got a lot done. I just finished putting the quick disconnects back into the tank because, and I didn't record it. I didn't think it was that interesting. It's just put a little thread steel and twist them in. Done. Cool. It's really good feeling to be as far done as I am. So kind of already shown. I got the throttle body reinstalled. Put the little pins back in. The fittings in. Basically, I could hook the fuel line up. I could, if the fuel tank was in a healthier condition, probably put gas in it and off we go. But right now we only have one gasket for the fuel flange, and I don't want to waste that gasket. I don't want to risk the chance of putting the fuel flange in and then tearing that gasket on the process. I mean, I might do it first time anyway, but I don't want to risk just starting it one time and then having to go order a new gasket, and it's going to need all the work anyway. So yeah, so I'm going to probably have the fuel tank cleaned out and relined before I do anything else. Though I'm really tempted to try to start it. I think I know how to get the fuel pump to pick up some gas. I don't want to put any kind of just, starter fluid in there. I'll give it a little bit of gas. We'll see. I'm back and forth. No decision to be made tonight, but I have to go through all the cleanup, and I might actually shoot another video to kind of summarize some other stuff. So I'm out of time. Plus, I got to go put kids to bed here. So I might not even have time to do all the cleanup I want tonight. But yeah, successful night. Well, maybe I should switch here and show you guys what you really want to see instead of my mug, but you want to see the bike. So we're not much more to report other than what you've seen already. It looks really ridiculous with that tire hugger sitting there, but it just got to be there because I don't really have anywhere else to put it. But it's all rehooked up, and this is exciting. Having nice new shiny parts on the old thing is like, what a good feeling, and seeing that bit in there clean, already seeing progress. Obviously, I'm, if you pull up the video game menu and you can see how much of the video game you've completed, I'm at like 2%. But it's delightful to see some progress. Back there needs cleaning and retidying, but yeah, we'll go over here. My little quasi-studio, I guess. But yeah, we got to put those fittings in. So they're installed. They're going to be drying overnight before anything happens with them. Metal fittings, good stuff. On top, I cleaned out in here where the pickup is. I did find, note to self for later, this little plastic screen here is snapped. So that needs to be replaced. And I think there might be more of a mesh that needs to go there. But yeah, so this got disconnected, well, and I attached it. I'm going to review later and make sure I got it back in. I might look back and laugh that it was backwards, but it was all coiled up. I uncoiled it. I'm going to just find another spot to get it coiled back up. New fuel filters installed, so that's part of the service. New hoses. This fuel pump, ladies and gentlemen, is, as far as I know, I may, again, I'm have the funny thing of recording this is hindsight, right? So that's good. Nothing on the tail tidy there, or on the tail section there. And then of course there's the tank. I don't even want to show it. It's so bad. Oh, it's so ugly. So yeah, actually, screw it. Well, I don't have the light, but I did scrub a little bit in there because obviously I can get my whole fist in there. No jokes about that. I know where your dirty minds are going to go, but I was able to scrub some of the rust off. You're not going to be able to see it tonight, but I scrubbed some of the rust out of this end of it. I just don't want to deal with it, but it's definitely treatable. It's definitely, WD-40 took all of it, all but a little bit of surface discoloration off. So some good that etching, I think it's acid that you put in there to clean it first. No doubt that'll clean it up, but it needs to be washed out anyway. There's some cleaning compound to use in there. That shit from the fuel flange that was sitting right here. There was this the gasket that was there. That garbage gasket. All the shit's in the fuel tank. So I cleaned most of it out, but I keep finding little bits. So we're gonna give it a good, thorough cleaning, reline it, and move on. The top side of it looks pretty clean. It's the inside, which I kind of wish it was the other way around. What else? Well, with this, I could probably put a little bit of gas in there, and I think it'll pick up the fuel and maybe run it. So I might be able to run it with the fuel pump out. We'll see. Never really tried that before, but we'll see. Maybe get it. Might be hilarious shenanigans for you later on. If I do that, like I said, I'm going to pull the bike all apart and do that test run that way. So all this reassembly is probably for naught. But because I want to be able to look at the fuel lines, these fuel lines, I want to make sure where they attach to the throttle body is nice and clean. So we'll run it without air filter or air box or any of that. This will come back out, but I just wanted to reassemble it. So anyway, productive night, and that'll be the close of tonight's vlog.